addressed, especially because I feel like this is mainly happening to college-aged women and in particular Black women. However, this is not only limited to Black women, but obviously this channel is going to focus on those who typically are considered the voiceless and don't get the same visibility as everyone else. So tragically, 19-year-old Sade Robinson, Black woman who went on a date with a white man named Maxwell Anderson, and she wanted to go and get seafood. So he told her that he was going to pick up a W-2 from this restaurant he used to bartend at. He's a well-known bartender in the area. So she was in the Milwaukee area with him. And while they went on this date, they ended up leaving together in her car. And after she left with him in her car, she was never seen or heard from again. Now, her friend contacted the police and told the police that she hasn't heard anything from her friend. Her last activity that she remembers of Sade was her on Snapchat. And she said that she was able to see her tracker. I think it's called Life 360. And it was showing her at multiple locations. But again, Sade was not answering. Eventually, the police, launched an investigation, and although they have not discovered Sade's body, they have discovered some of her extremities, which were scattered. But obviously, the community is devastated. She worked for Pizza Shuttle. They are mourning this. They even linked her GoFundMe, so I'll leave her link to her GoFundMe for the family in the chat too. Her mother, of course, is distraught by what happened. I mean, this is a young Black woman. She was getting ready to graduate from Milwaukee Area Technical College with honors, and the field that she was studying was criminal justice. So how ironic for all of this to happen. Like, my condolences to her entire family, to her friends, to her colleagues. Like, just a beautiful, gorgeous young girl whose life unfortunately was taken out. And, it's just really sad how demonic this act that was committed. To my understanding, there has not been a motive listed yet, but I did see some tweets, and I don't know if this has been confirmed, but some people were basically saying that this guy has a history of DV with women. And I don't know if you guys seen that too. I didn't see anything in the news saying that in particular, but I did hear other people saying that this effing sick monster has a history of doing this or has a record or something along those lines. But I'm sure with Sade being so young, she probably didn't even know that. And most people would never think, oh my God, I'm about to go on a date with this deranged lunatic. You're just out there trying to have a good time. But we're just in different times. It's just really sad. And her story reminds me of another young woman. Plenty of y'all have heard of her, Lauren Smith Fields. In December of 2021, she went on this Bumble date with this man. She asked him to come over. They were hanging out, and then she ends up passing too. They never formally charged him with any crime. I believe this happened in Bridgeport. And again, it's another Black woman going on a date with a non-Black man, white. And you just see how the police, in some cases, are slow to respond, not doing proper protocol. And then a Black woman passes and they want you to believe that, oh, this is because of an overdose. Like, it's not really adding up. And another story that's very similar to this that happened on the heels of what occurred to Lauren Smith Field was Asia Maynard. So Asia Maynard was a 29-year-old mother of 4 children, and she went on a date with this man. And the police also refused to thoroughly investigate him. They just pretty much said, hey, she's a Black single mother. Nobody gives a F. Life goes on. But there's this woman on Facebook. She went to middle and high school with James. She said he's responsible for 7 FODs. I'm going to put it in the chat what I'm talking about. And then she said that I've been swept under the rug. Isaiah James Crown is his name. I hope he takes his L soon before somebody else has to pass. Rest in peace, Pretty. So again, if you notice with all of these women, Black women, first date, mysterious circumstances of a disappearance or an unaliving. And thankfully with Sade, this was thoroughly investigated. And I really appreciate the police for doing that. But with these other cases, it's just like, okay, yeah, this happened. What do you guys want us to do about it? Even though they're not looking into their past, making any sort of connections, they're just throwing it to the wayside. With this Sade case, it's really disgusting to see some of the reactions from non-Black people. Like, they're more so, some of them are, expressing empathy for what happened to her. But there's some like this who's on some, victimhood, trying to preserve the sanctity of the image for their race. So this man, Paul, says 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson charged with unaliving 19-year-old Sade Carlina Robinson of Milwaukee. This is truly a gruesome and horrifying tale of will certainly remain in the media's headlines because it fits their narrative. Now, excuse me, Miss C, I'm trying to be professional. But what are you talking about, a narrative? This don't have nothing to do with race or upholding a narrative. If they cared about the narrative, they wouldn't even report this. And it's not even getting the same amount of coverage that a Gabby Petito is. So you can miss me with that. So this woman said he's a well-known bartender around here in Milwaukee. Plenty of people knew him. My girlfriend even helped him dig holes for his fence a few years ago. Wisconsin has a problem with serial Ks and sickos. This isn't a race thing. Thank you. They went out on a first date and this sicko probably didn't get what he wanted. This is her response to him. So he's trying to make it about race. And this person is also doing this. Daniel Storm. He has the audacity to say that $5 million is an excessive bail. Not the fact that a young 19-year-old woman was pretty much, let me put it in the chat, that's not excessive. Honestly, if we're going to keep it a buck, he shouldn't even been given the opportunity to have bail. Because if the roles were reversed, the story would be completely different. But his family intends to post it so that he can fight the charges like any other defendant. He has a quote unquote hold, but is not on probation as that discharged on March 23rd, 2024. The family of this young woman must feel horrible. And as a community, we cannot express our collective grief for them, along with all other victims of, like, what is this man talking about? This is just disgusting. Yeah, and also the age gap too. Like, if you notice the same thing, Lawrence Smith Fields, this man was 37. Lawrence Smith Fields was only what, 23? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Another age gap. Sade Robinson, a young 19-year-old going on a date with a 33-year-old. See, we need to talk about that, because I feel like that's romanticized a lot, is these significant age gaps. And I've warned you guys about that. So we'll talk about that towards the end too. But you can see the response from the non-Black community. And that's not, again, the collective of them. However, I almost expect that from them because they know how to preserve their lineage. They know how to preserve their image. We don't have that ability. We don't care about that, especially when it involves a Black woman. And that's also another theme that I noticed with these cases. With these young Black women, particularly the pro-Black community, mainly Black men with a handkerchief wearing mammies, are sitting back, degrading and defiling these young Black women with this swirling gone wrong narrative, as if Black